This is going to be the best, worst podcast we ever do.
You like to wing it, so I mean, this is right up
Well,
our
no,
alley.
it's not that it's winging it aspect of it. It's just that it's as boring as hell to most of the people that are in fingerboarding. But I think it's incredibly important for most of the people that are in fingerboarding.
On this board, I'm never alone. In the skate park, I found my home.
I think it is the most important thing in fingerboarding currently. It affects everybody,
Okay, well,
some
let's
way,
get
shape, or
into it.
form. And I feel like we definitely got to get into it.
Do your thing, and then I'll bounce around here and we'll figure out how to get all this information into this little 30-minute podcast we're going to do today.
Welcome to USAFBL Fingerboard Podcast, the official voice of fingerboarding culture, from league news to community stories with real insight, writer interviews, and the heart of the scene. Please follow, turn on notifications for us, and now let's get into fingerboarding. I'm your host, Levine Cunningham. Today I'm joined with Brian O'Neill. Welcome to the podcast.
It's me again. What is going on? Where is Gary?
Where is Gary?
Where in the world is Gary, that MFer?
I feel like more like where's Waldo when it comes to Gary.
Yeah, that might be a better vibe for him.
I miss Waldo. We need to bring him back.
I miss Gary because you keep bugging me with these. No, listen, today's an important freaking podcast, but might be the most boring podcast, the most essential boring podcast we ever do. How about that?
I don't know, man. It's very interesting. I find it very interesting. I know people might be like, I don't know why you guys are talking about this, but I feel like every fingerboarder is affected by it, whether they like to believe it or not.
Yeah, no, that's it. Everybody is affected by it, but they like, I mean, like, even in, I mean, I'm old, but like, even in your age group and lower and stuff, it's like people are gotten so used to tuning stuff out when it seems political, when it seems like financial, when it seems economic. And we're gonna just do some, I think honestly, we're gonna hurt some people's feelings and bust some doors open as far as where shit comes from that we participate in the fingerboarding industry. All right.
And for those that may not have figured it out yet, we're talking about tariffs. We're getting political. We're getting political as f-
Yeah, we're getting a little political, but not political in the way that you're right, I'm wrong. We're just saying let's figure out how to make everybody ready for what's coming down the pike, right?
And for the record, I don't even really like getting political. I feel like it's, I don't know, someone's feelings always gets hurt. So I always try to steer away from it. But I feel like this is maybe the one time where we're going to make an exception and we're going to get into it.
I would rather argue your pronouns or religion than actually argue politics. But the fingerboarding industry is a small. I mean, let's just say, like, what does the industry look like, Lamine? Do you know what the numbers are? I know what the numbers are. I'm just checking you.
Oh, you put me on the spot. Like the numbers of I don't know. It's depends on what
Overall,
scene. You're looking at like
yeah,
everybody, including the tech deck kids, or are we talking just like the
yeah,
hardcore
everybody,
underground
including the
scene?
tech deck. Yeah, everybody, including the tech deck kids. We're talking about around now. Keep in mind, most of these companies are private, so we don't know for sure, but we can estimate the fingerboarding industry worldwide is around $2.8 billion, which is crazy considering that that's literally rivaling the skateboarding industry. But we'll get to that in a minute. There's different reasons for that. But we're talking about toy sales and then trying to assume the DIY market here in the United States and worldwide, materials, goods, and things that are traded across borders going to bring up those fun China products. You know what I'm saying? Like, we okay. Well, first of all, we're not economists, right? Neither one of us are economists. You got a background in finance and accounting, but economy and the economist situation is a little bit different. I've got a background in business and marketing and also manufacturing. You have a background in logistics and accounting. So the reason why this is interesting is because our two backgrounds have been basically ingrained in the fingerboarding community for the last 5 years now. And we've watched business after business after business. We've talked to business owners, we've talked to deck makers, we've talked to shop owners, we've talked to all of these different fingers, get the pun, that are part of the industry. And we've got a really good understanding of the challenges of a lot of the businesses. We've made things, we've shipped things, we've produced shows, we've done all this stuff, and we're going to break it down for you what the tariffs and the different taxable issues and taxable items and what items are tariff free and what items are not and everything else in this episode.
Yeah, before we even get into all that, let's get all the quick announcements and stuff out of the way. All right, so we got some stuffs. For those that have not been following, we are 4 weeks into King of the Plies. We're almost done. We're almost ready to see these submissions. We got like what, 2 weeks left?
2 weeks left.
2 weeks left. We've got a bunch of sanctioned events happening here in May, and the race for Plies Mag Fingerboarder of the Year is here.
What?
Fingerboarder of the Year.
What's that?
Plies Mag.
What's that?
Plies Mag, the ultimate fingerboarding magazine, is hosting its annual Fingerboarder of the Year.
Yeah, I was just kidding. That's awesome. Okay, and that's going to be coming out in uh December or January?
They're going to be on the cover of January, but we're going to be
Cover
announcing
of
winners of
January,
that in
yeah.
December. So we've got some cool
That's
stuff
awesome.
lined up between now and then. Definitely be checking out pliesmag.com for all your updates.
Yeah, and you need to go to pliesmag.com because there is a nice little box on the front page of that for fingerboard graffiti, right?
Got fingerboard, we got finger graffiti.
Oh, finger graffiti, not fingerboard graffiti.
Fingerboard graffiti, finger graffiti, it's one and the same, but you guys know what time it is. Submit your high resolution photos. We're looking for vibes, we're looking for the community, we're looking for a little bit of everything. If it's good, we're going to put it in the magazine.
All right, and because you like whenever I bounce back and forth, submissions are due again for King of the Plies. They are due in and submitted by 5/21, right?
Yeah, May 21st is when everybody's submissions are due. So you're going to hear it here on the podcast first once all the submissions are here and when to go check them out. Definitely get your vote in. And man, there are some crazy behind the scenes going on as far as our stories, what people are posting. Word on the street is there's a treetop sesh that's been completed and a couple fingerboarding tattoos that went down.
So wait a minute, they climbed up a tree and they seshed with obstacles in the tree and made a video out of it.
I can't get into too many details. We're on an ongoing video challenge, but
Uh, uh,
there's been some cool stuff that's went down.
I really listen. I'm gonna put a little gem out there. Like, if you don't have like a secondary, like a backup video of you guys videoing, like you need a little bit of that behind the scenes kind of B-roll stuff going on, right?
Definitely. That's crucial. That's
Yeah.
king.
All right. What else with King of the Plies?
This is definitely going to be a legendary year for King of the Plies for sure, with the grand prize of over $1,500, over $2,000 total in cash, plus prizes this year.
Man, and everybody, all the teams are making their own box, right? Their own so it's almost like a Secret Santa situation with the winners.
Yeah, so you got a whole team collabing in on a sponsor pack, and you got 13 of those bad boys getting distributed. So it's pretty
And
crazy.
this is going to be cool. All right, so have some fun with your sponsor packs too, because if you win, awesome. But if you lose, you could always throw in like a jelly sandwich or something in those sponsor packs to go out to those winners, right?
Man, getting a moldy jelly sandwich would be doo doo, but
All
hilarious,
right.
but doo doo.
Okay, let's get on to sanction events, dude. We've got a listing of some sanction events we got to go over.
Yeah, May is turning up for sure. We've got Rodant, North Carolina, Dare to Care on May 17th. Bradenton, Florida with Higher Up Fingerboards on May 18th. We've got White Lake, Michigan, Grind Fingerboards, May 24th. Riverview, Florida, Blizzle_FB_Wizzles, May 24th. Muskegon, Michigan, Gildo. That's June 7th. London, Ontario, Canada, Rise Fingerboards, July 5th. Houston, Texas, Father Skate Supply, July 12th. In Strathmore, Alberta, Canada, Fidgety Digits FB 403, July 26th.
Man, and we just actually last weekend, I guess, was Phoenix FB's event
Yeah, Phoenix had a
down in
really good
Dallas.
turnout. Yeah, they had a banger of a sanctioned event that went down last weekend. If you didn't have a chance to go check that out and you guys are in the Dallas area, you guys missed out. But they do have a storefront, so go tap in whenever you guys are up to scratch that itch to go shred a bunch of parks and go hang out with the locals.
Speaking of big events, we've got our regionals and national event for USAFBL. I hope you guys aren't sick of hearing about it because we're just getting ready to start talking about all of these things, right?
Yeah, we're turning up. We are about 100 days out to the start of our tour event. So, super excited about that. First up, we've got a 2 day weekend Portland, Oregon event, August 15th and 16th. Our Regional East event, a 2 day weekend, Philly, Pennsylvania, August 29th and 30th. We've got Regional North, 2 day Detroit, Michigan stop, September 5th and 6th. Regional South, 2 day Atlanta event, Atlanta, Georgia, September 12th and 13th. And
And
then
then,
our national 3 day Indianapolis, Indiana event, October 10th, 11th, and 12th.
and we're going to name three national champions at that event, right?
Yeah, there are going to be three national champions at that event for best trick street, best run street, game of skate. And those three people are going to Germany to compete at Fast Fingers for free, paid for by USAFBL.
It's amazing, dude. What was that video that I just sent you? What video did we just watch that was Fast Fingers 21?
Yeah, that was last year's Fast Fingers 21. And that, I personally attended that. I am going to go on a limb and say there is literally almost nothing better than what they've got going on over there.
Shut up. You just got back from Fingerboard Con slash Rendezvous Weekend, and you're saying Fast Fingers 21 was still the baller of the belle of the ball as far as events go so far.
I don't know, actually. If you're comparing those, they're close. They're a little bit of apples to oranges, mainly because Fast Fingers is a 1 day event versus, a whole 3 day weekend type deal with Fingerboard Con. But when you're talking like the best fingerboarding events right now, you're talking Fingerboarding Weekend Con with Rendezvous, Fast Fingers 21, and then the USAFBL events. I think those are
Dude,
the top tier
them
events.
them hosting Ramon up in the air, like you know what I mean, and the confetti's falling and everything. That was pretty
Everybody throwing
badass.
beer and water
Yeah.
out and stuff. I mean, it
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah.
epic, epic.
All right. All right, so we did fingerboarding con. Do we need to talk about the magazine anymore? What do we got going on? What's our plans for June
June,
for the magazine?
I feel like it's top secret, but before we get
Well,
to the June issue, we're officially dropping the Fidgety Digits collab with Plies next week. I feel like we need to drop it on a random Tuesday. Should we drop it on a random Tuesday?
I don't give a crap when you drop it. It's already available on the website.
Ah, you're gonna leak it. Oh, we did leak it.
Yeah.
Theoretically, they're live now, and they're gonna ship
Yeah, we've
out
already
on a
we've already
random
been we've
Tuesday.
already sold them and stuff. Like I'm still like I mean like get it there and get your Fidgety Digits deck. We've got two different t-shirts. We got option one and option two. We've got great decks. What are the specs on the deck?
34.96 silver mold.
But it doesn't matter because it's a badass cool deck and you just need to have this. I mean, collect them all, Pokemon.
Exactly, exactly. So grab them now. Everything ships out Tuesday the 13th. So everything is going to get shipped out Tuesday the 13th. You can pre-order them now before they all sell out. Everything ships out Tuesday the 13th. I'm
Okay.
excited.
Let's
Let's
get
get
back
that.
into Plies. Let's get back into Plies magazine because we do have Fingerboard of the Year. We've got to make sure that people understand what's the judging criteria for Fingerboarder of the Year for Plies magazine.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking for video edits, video parts, competitions. That's not very strong, but it's definitely kind of a factor. The cultural impact is really heavy with this. So, how well you guys are vibing in the community, your impact on the community, inspiring others, that community involvement, and also media presence. I mean, are you getting featured on podcast? Media stuff like that, like, I mean, just basically being more well known, more of a spotlight. So basically, the more you're doing within the community, the higher your chances are of being Fingerboarder of the Year.
And if you've got an army of people, if you got a great following and stuff, I mean, this is the opportunity to send those people at us, right?
Yeah, if you got some fans, man, tell them start tagging you and
Yeah, we
hashtag
might even
FOTY.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to do a thing where everybody has to, I don't know, has to go and vote somewhere else. I mean, we're checking the Instas, we're checking what you're posting, stuff like that. But hey, in all of our posts, like if you want to just start a trend of, Fingerboarder of the Year and then tag your buddy, in all of our posts, all of our comments, everything. Just flood Levine's inbox with a whole bunch of those.
We're watching. The streets are watching.
Impacts on the, okay, so what are we ready now?
Let's get into this tariff. Let's get into it. Let's get political.
What is a tariff, Levine? You want to tell the people what a tariff is?
Man, all right. So tariffs are, in plain terms, a tax added to imported goods paid by the importer.
Okay, and who's the importer in an American-based business that's buying goods overseas? Who is the importer?
The importer could be the manufacturer. It could be a company that ships directly to the recipient.
Okay.
Is that a word?
So
Recipient?
no, it's not. So the reason why we're talking about this is because a lot of people feel like, oh, well, I'm just buying decks, or I'm just buying, completes, or I'm just buying this kind of stuff. It's not going to affect me. But that is up for debate, and that's up for a pretty strong debate, and we're going to get into that. Importing tariffs are paid by the company buying those goods overseas. So if it's ABC Company out of Colorado, then that company has to pay an extra amount of duties, fees, or import tariffs, correct?
Yeah.
And the thing is a lot of people are confusing this idea of less than $800, because there's this idea that if I'm ordering less than $800, I don't have to pay tariffs and things like that. That's not completely accurate. We're going to get into that. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. But tariffs are a tax on goods coming into the United States, whether they're finished goods or if they're parts and pieces, right?
And that's one of the crazy things when you go into like just the parts and pieces of stuff. Some of these things are actually assembled here in the United States. And so it's not even necessarily like, oh, I'm buying something directly from China. Like a lot of the parts that we need to be able to put things together being shipped over here is becoming an issue as well.
And that's the thing that people don't get. They're like, oh, well, I buy it from so-and-so that lives down the street from me. Well, all of that so-and-so's costs are going up in some aspects. One of the other things that people don't think about is packaging and hardware costs, right?
All your
packaging is pretty expensive.
Cellophane, all those little plastic bags that we're putting everything, all that stuff is it's getting to a point where some of these companies aren't even shipping to us. Like they're holding off on shipping to the United States. So just being able to have access to some of the packaging that you need could be a serious issue.
Well, I need to give some good news. Let's not freak everybody out. But Gorilla Glue, for one thing, number one, I would say Gorilla Glue is probably the number one staple in the fingerboarding community. Like everybody has Gorilla Glue, right?
Yeah.
That's made in the United States, comes out of a suburb of Cincinnati, Ohio. So there you go. We're good there, right?
I want to say yes. That's going to be our glimmer of hope right there.
Okay, glimmer of hope is Gorilla Glue probably won't go up. I guess I thought of I'm into tattoos and stuff, obviously. So I thought of a tattoo analogy that I wanted to bounce across with you, Levine, and see if you get it too. For those of us that have gotten tattoos, for our buddies out there like Brandon, those that are tattoo artists and stuff, everybody knows what a setup fee is, right?
Yep.
Okay, so you know that there's a certain amount of cost that goes into you just setting down at a tattoo shop. There's needles, there's sterilization processes, there's ink, there's one-time use ink wells. There's lots of little things, right? So a shop will say, hey, our shop minimum is, let's say, $65. And that shop minimum exists because they need to protect the costs that it goes into even setting up the smallest tattoo. And a lot of people don't realize that setup costs for just sitting down at a tattoo shop can be anywhere from 15 to 30 bucks before you even get any ink in your skin. You know what I mean? That's just what it costs to be a tattooist in that scenario. And so when you think about your fingerboards, you think about your obstacles, you think about the wood and everything that goes into the things that we love in the fingerboarding industry, we don't necessarily think about the setup costs. We don't think about veneers. We don't think about the glue. We don't think about all those parts and pieces that are coming in from all around the world before they arrive at our, even if it's our do-it-ourselves shop, all of those things are coming in from many different places, right?
Yeah.
And so when we talk about 100% tariff cost, right, we're talking about $1,000. Like if you were to order veneers is a great example because almost everybody uses veneers in our industry. It's the very thin pieces of wood that are stacked up for decks that are used on the top of obstacles to finish them, everything else, right?
Yeah.
The wood that is known that is used for that typically comes in from Canada, China, Finland, Russia, or Italy, and in Spain. Now we do have some. I think we have some wood that we use in the United States, mostly maple, but also the majority of our maple veneers that we use come in from Canada, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm talking about as a good example. If a deck maker orders $500 worth of veneers, right? And that might last them 8 months worth of making decks and stuff like that. Let's just make it easy, $1,000. They order $1,000 worth of veneers because they're a big time deck maker. They make lots of decks. They stack those veneers up, they make them. That $1,000 with 100% tariff added to it is now $2,000 worth of veneers. Did I do my math right on that? Was that pretty simple math?
Yeah.
So when we talk about 15, 20, or 30% tariffs, that's something that's survivable, right? That doesn't change your overall cost of goods in a crazy way. But when we're doubling our cost of goods to be able to make a deck or something like that, that significantly changes, right?
Definitely. Or worse, you can't find or you don't have access to those supplies.
Yeah. So all of a sudden, all of our decks are made with just US based maple veneers, which, I mean, we could get some deck makers on here. We could talk about like the dyeing process, how much time it takes for maple versus other types of woods and stuff. But like birch veneers and stuff primarily come from Finland and Russia. I mean, people just don't know this stuff, right? I mean, unless you're a deck maker, you don't know where to get this kind of stuff from. You can get it from Hobby Lobby, but all the prices at Hobby Lobby are going to go up too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are we on a tangent now, or have we well established the reasons why we're having this podcast?
I think we're getting there. And a lot of people, they'll kind of refer to like China-based products being, more like, just trucks, completes, things like that. But I mean, we're also talking about tools. Like almost all of my tools are literally made and came from China. So whether you're a woodworker, your drill saws, your wrenches, all that stuff, that's all China based. Even your fingerboarding tools, the cheap little tech deck ones that you guys have, or even the more expensive like eyeglassware like tool sets and stuff like that, those are all China based as well. So when we don't have companies shipping those over here, there's going to be a shortage of tools and supplies, and like it just becomes a whole ordeal. And I don't think people are ready for it yet.
It's a supply chain issue. And
Yeah.
if we go all the way down the rabbit hole, it falls all the way into online sales, just the parts and pieces that you normally get. Wheel manufacturers, listen, you can make, like, listen, let's just be honest here. Like, okay, trucks, die-cast trucks, where are they made?
All of them, China.
All of them. And
90% of them, but yes.
90% of them. That other 10% of die-cast trucks aren't made in the United States. I'm just telling you, they're not, right? We know this stuff. Like, as a manufacturer, we're not going to call out any manufacturers or companies that sell trucks, but you might be ABC fingerboard big balls dude, right? And you've got your own line of trucks and they're custom made and they've got your little engraving on them and all that kind of stuff. There's a company in China, India, or what are some of the other locations? China and India are primarily, but they're making those trucks to your specifications, which means that they are your trucks. You're selling them. It's a responsible business plan to say, these are my trucks. Even if they get shipped out of Spain or they get shipped out of the United States or wherever it is, they might be manufactured by a company that's in China or India, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And that's what consumers don't know. And we're not telling stories on anybody, but the specifications and all that kind of stuff is typically given over to companies that specialize in die-cast materials and things. And then those companies manufacture to our specifications. That's the ugly truth. When you say, I don't buy China trucks, you probably actually buy China trucks. You don't even know it.
There's a strong possibility.
Okay. Same thing with wheels. You might make your wheels in-house, but the materials in which you use to make your wheels do not come from us in the United States, right?
I'm gonna have to go with no.
I mean, unless you're doing the recycled wheels, right? Like those recycled wheels, like yeah, we understand they're recycled wheels. They're drilled out, we make them here, all that kind of stuff. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about new polyurethane wheels, plastic wheels, stuff like that. Those materials to put on the lathe, to put on the however you go about the vacuum forming, all those materials that go into there, we're talking about 100 to 140% increase on cost of goods for those materials coming into the United States.
And the scary thing is what does that mean for the consumer as far as pricing and availability? That's the scary thing that we're getting ready to get into.
So let's get into it. What does it mean, dude?
Man, all right. So for those that are doing, your entry level decks, we know the companies, you don't have to throw them out underneath the bus, but there's a lot of entry level companies that are selling $25, $40 completes. What happens when those $40 completes become $80 completes, $90 completes, and then they start to rival what a more higher end pro setup runs? And so when you get to that point, what happens to the entry level people that are looking to upgrade from a tech deck and they're looking to get into an entry level, setup where that cost is so high that it might actually price out some of the people looking to bridge the gap from I bought a tech deck, I learned my first kickflip, I want something a little bit more efficient.
Yeah, I think that as far as multipliers goes, and again, I'm not an economist, but I'm pretty well versed in the business world of this. I mean, we're looking at anywhere from 50 to 75% increases in costs to the consumer for a lot of these things. And considering that the fingerboarding, the pro fingerboarding, the custom do-it-yourself market in the fingerboarding world, it's not larger than the toy market, but it will change faster than the toy market would change. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think that, buying up materials as soon as you can possibly, but stocking up materials for your business to really kind of ride this out. Because again, we're basing this off of information we got literally today and within the last couple of days. Things can change. We hope that this podcast becomes completely irrelevant and nothing that we say is true eventually. We really hope that is the case. But if we know what we're talking about, and if things keep going the way that we're talking about 50 to 75% increase in finished product.
That's huge and
It is
very
huge.
detrimental to the industry.
So we got to figure it out. We got to write it out. We got to pull together as a community. All of you deck makers, wheel makers, things like that out there, you're going to have to like stock up on your materials. Like if there was ever a prepper time, this is the prepper time, right? For our do-it-yourself industry.
Yeah, I feel like, everybody's kind of hoarding toilet paper. I feel like right now the fingerboarding industry needs to really start hoarding supplies, start hoarding decks. So like if you know that you're going to need another deck or two, like go out and go ahead and go grab those decks. Go grab those extra set of trucks. Go grab those extra set
Yeah.
of wheels and just kind of get ready.
Why do I have, 5,000 polyurethane tubes sitting in the garage this weekend? Well, it's because I need to make polyurethane wheels, and this is the materials that I use.
I feel like you gotta, it's like doomsday prepping right now. I'm not trying to put fear into people or anything like that, but definitely kind of be ready. Be ready for price increases or worse, lack of supplies, which is an actual scenario that could happen if we start going into looking for how do we make these things and those supplies aren't there anymore on the shelves to actually go make those things that we need.
Listen, all of you that started out making cardboard fingerboards, your skill set might come back into use.
It's true.
What else do we need to get people ready for? And again, we're talking to fingerboarding businesses and we're talking to fingerboarding enthusiasts at the same time. Because, oh man, there was some fallout on Fingerboarding Unlimited. I always love bringing up the fallout on Fingerboarding Unlimited. And I don't really want to call out who it was, but I think most of you will know. But it's like when people get on there and they talk about the cost of goods and the cost of being in the fingerboarding business, or people get on there and they talk about this is ridiculous how much these things cost, right? I think that both of those positions, both of those opinions are right. It is okay for a business to say, you have no idea how much it costs for my business to actually produce this thing that I charge $40 for, right? But it's also valid for a consumer to say, this seems like it's too much for this thing because I'm comparing it to A, B, C, D, and E. And that is a valid argument to have as well, right?
It is, but it also depends
And
on what A, B, C, and D and E is actually doing.
yeah, does A, B, C, D, and E come from China? Are they pre-made, boards? Are they just, what? There's like an entire list of things that the consumers don't know anything about. I will tell you that there are fingerboarding companies, and we're not going to say who they are, but they manufacture complete package decks overseas, and they sell their US based decks in their shops. And those overseas completes get shipped directly from overseas to the distribution points in the United States, which might be, retail shops or skate shops and things like that. They never touch those things. Those things literally get made, packaged, everything, and then shipped directly to their sales points in the United States. That is a typical distribution-based business model, right? We're saying that the company also makes internationally supplied completes that go directly to the retail shops. And all of those completes are going to go from $25, $30 a piece to $75, $80 to $100 for those completes in those retail shops. And there's nothing we can do about that at this point.
This is true. It's kind of scary.
Very scary. So the solutions, do we have solutions in this podcast?
We do. We got some alternatives, I guess you would say. Like I said, for one, doomsday prep. If you know you're going to go through some bushings and some components, and go ahead and stock up on those now, like I said, while they're still inexpensive and available. And then two, I have a feeling that the secondhand market for some things are going to get pretty crazy as well.
Oh my
So
God. Are we going to talk about people reselling completes and stuff? Because good Lord, I'm so tired of seeing people talk about how bad they got scammed because they didn't get their beast pants that they ordered.
you guys have definitely got to be more safe when it comes to secondhand sources. So I don't want to say don't buy from people in fingerboarding groups and things like that, but I would definitely say lean more towards, safety platforms like in-person events, eBay, Etsy, Mercari, all those other platforms that have, seller protection, things like that. It's a crazy world, and as scenarios start to play out, there's going to be people that are going to take advantage of these scenarios playing out at the same time. So you just got to be very aware and very look for things that are just red flags. If you see a red flag, run. Don't be
Yeah,
afraid to
and I
run.
think
Don't be
that,
afraid to back out.
I think that the pawn shop scenario really applies here. We need people in the fingerboarding space to create a safe place to order and buy used decks and completes and things like that. I don't know where that's at. I definitely don't think it's on Facebook. I definitely don't think it's on Instagram. But like we really do. I mean, heck, Levine, if we didn't have 5,000 things going on, 5-city tour with 1,600 attendees that are going to be going through our doors for this year, I would say we need to do an online pawn shop for completes and reselling of decks and stuff like that, so that we could actually receive goods in and then sell them to the public with some safety and stuff. But please be careful out there when purchasing, right?
Yeah, most definitely.
Because we're not talking about like I mean, most of these people are dropping $50, $100, either it's $100 cash or you're trading materials that are worth the same, or you're trading other decks and stuff. And it's a scary world out there.
Definitely. So on a positive note, let's end this on a positive note.
How?
You're right. Till next time.
See ya.
Later.
Rolling through the concrete chaos, I'm alive. With my fingerboard, I'm ready to dive. Pushing limits, flipping tricks high in the sky. Every sliding grind, I'm chasing that high. Feel the rhythm, let it flow. Fingerboarding, let's steal the show. Fingerboarding, I'm flying free. With every flick, I'll write my story. I'm soaring like a bird, every trick a story, every slide a word. Grinding on the edge, I'm breaking the mold. Fingerboarding dreams worth their weight in gold. Hear the wheels as they scream in this fingerboarding dream. Fingerboarding, I'm flying free. With every flick I'll write my story. On this board, I'm never alone. In the skate park, I found my home. Hear the wheels as they scream in this fingerboard.